Yes.
Let's talk about the Patriots and winning the AFC. How much faith do you...
Want me to go first?
Well, are you going to go first?
I could, because I'm the true
You want to?
Patriot defender.
Okay.
He's fraudulent Patriot defender.
Well, and are you neutral with the Patriots?
I'm neutral, but I'm interested to hear what Skip is going to say.
And then I want you to make sure that you hold him accountable.
I definitely will.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, Skip, give us how much faith do you have in them?
Faith.
Yeah.
So this is for real.
Okay.
I have fallen to a 6. Now, you guys know, as long as...
from where, Skip?
From 10.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, it's scale. It's not 1 to 100. If it's 1 to 100, I'm really in trouble at a 6. But as long as they have number 12 behind center, I will never, ever fall lower than a 6 in faith in this football team. But once again, in the wake of losing Gerard Mayo and Hilliard, it's just... Chandler Jones is a huge loss for this football team because he is their most gifted pass rusher. He had 11.5 sacks last year. And the problem is they are about to undergo a murderer's row of the toughest closing stretch in all of pro football, the most difficult remaining schedule. They should be able to beat the Bears this Sunday in Foxborough. But following that game, as you guys probably know by now, it goes Denver, at Indy, Lions, at Green Bay, at San Diego. They do get to close against the AFC least. You, being a former Jet, would appreciate that. Miami, then at Jets, then Buffalo. Yeah. But my point is there any way they can go 3-2 in this stretch? Because all that matters to me is the postseason. I have them winning the AFC. They lost at Denver in the AFC Championship game a year ago, 26-16. It's all about home field advantage. So could they go 3-2? Could they close out 12-4? Would that give them home field over Denver? The Denver I saw on Sunday night looked like the best team in the AFC right now. Can Denver close out at 13-3 as they always seem to? If they do, my Patriots are in big postseason trouble, and so is my pick.
All right, he's at a 6. Jonathan.
I'm at a 6 as well, but I never started with a 10.
Okay.
I thought that Denver was going to win the AFC.
Yep.
I think that their offseason acquisitions are finally starting to step up. I think that Von Miller is starting to get healthy. I see that you have your 1 and sack 2 leaders in the NFL right now, DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, and this is what they brought DeMarcus Ware in for. I think that the Patriots are going to win the AFC East. I think that's fair to say. Buffalo was a close second. Everyone's kind of looking at Miami and saying, well, are they going to do something? I don't agree. I think they're too inconsistent. Yep. I think that they will win the East. I think they will host a divisional game. They might get a bye. Just because you look at who scares you right now in the AFC, aside from Denver, aside from the Colts, San Diego, you can't make heads or tails of them just yet until they face some better competition. So they have a legitimate shot at getting a first-round bye. They have a legitimate shot of hosting a divisional game. And then now it comes down to the Denver Broncos. And what are they going to do? Are they going to be at Denver again, or are they going to face them in the championship game at home?
And you suspect at Denver?
I suspect at Denver, yes.
And you were never at a 10, so it doesn't really matter. You're just a 6.
I'm a 6. I was neutral. Yeah. And I'm just looking at them. I'm saying they're a good team. Whenever they're challenged, they step up to the challenge. Look what they did to Cincy. They had a challenge against Buffalo. They thought people thought Buffalo was going to come in and win that game. They tore them apart. So I'm looking at a team that they find ways to win. They're going to get to the game. I don't think they're going to win it.
How much did you fear Tom Brady when you played for the Jets?
Man, Tom Brady, I feared him as much as I feared Peyton Manning, as much as I feared Drew Brees in training camp. Right. These guys are smart. They're athletic as far as quarterback ability. Athletic. They're laser accurate. And I get it because he's not in his prime and everyone is saying he's fallen off. But this guy is still legitimate and can still go out there, make all the throws, make the plays he needs to make. And then he's not doing it with a ton of talents. He doesn't have a Demaryius Thomas out there. Give him a 4-yard slant, turn it to 80 yards for a touchdown. He's able to do it with the guys he has.
Yeah.
Silly me. I don't see any slippage from Tom Brady. I think that's a misnomer. I think everybody's a bit overblown with it simply because, listen, when he's been protected, he looks like Tom Brady. When he doesn't get protected, he doesn't. I mean, just
And
ask
you
the
have
New York
said
Giants.
he tends to tap dance.
Like the late, great Gregory Hines, God rest his soul. This is what Tom Brady and all of them do. You know the rules. You get to a quarterback, you can make them tap dance. You can make anybody look normal. If you don't protect them, what happens? New England lets go of Logan Mankins before the season begins. That's a devastating loss. There's no question. But we're talking about Mr. Jones here with 4.5 sacks. Think about this. One of the things that got lost in the shuffle, New England has the #1 passing defense in the NFL right now in terms of yards allowed. Now, obviously, the ability to get to the quarterback is going to help you in that regard. I'm trying to look at how many sacks they got. I think they got 18 on the season. Not too bad, not too shabby, but not great either. It's still less than 3 a game. So I'm looking at it from the perspective, okay, they're managing to sit there and limit teams' passing games. Now, Mayo being out definitely hurts. He's their leading tackler. I do have some concerns, and that's why I'd say I'd dip it from a 9 or a 10 to a 7. But I'm not going the 6 because you can't convince me that if you got the #1 defense that you can't figure out a way to overcome the loss of Chandler Jones. I just don't believe it. I'm not getting sold on that. The combination of Jones and Mayo being gone definitely can hurt you. But I remember with Wilford gone. I remember, you know, with Wilford gone and Mayo gone last year. They still got to the AFC Championship game. What did you do now? You went from Akeem Talib to Darrelle Revis. Your secondary with McCourty and those boys, they're there. So I'm looking at it from the perspective, can Bill Belichick figure out a way to get to the quarterback in the absence of Chandler Jones? I think so. Now, if he lost Darrelle Revis, I might feel differently.
But I'll say this.
Go ahead.
They had the #1 pass defense, I don't think in spite of Chandler Jones. It was because of Chandler Jones. You had him and Ninkovich that were able to rush the passer.
So you're saying you believe that's why they had the #1 passing defense?
I think that their defensive scheme and their concept was based on 2 guys that could get legitimate pressure on the quarterback without having to generate pressure, without having to bring that 5th man, 6th man. So now are we going to say, okay, we're going to now do fire zones. We're going to take that 5th guy. We're going to blitz him now. Put the secondary in awkward situations where, hey, if it hits, great, you got a sack. If it doesn't hit, there's holes in the zone. Are you going to play more man? We all know about Revis and his ability, and he does a great job. Look what he did to A.J. Green. But I'm saying something has to change. Is it for the better or for the worse now that Chandler Jones is out?
But here's where I'm surprised at what you're saying. You've got Ryan, you've got Revis. You've got McCourty. Okay? And I'm looking at these guys, and I'm saying to myself, this is Bill Belichick coaching here. You trying to tell me that Bill Belichick can't figure out a way? If you got this, now, don't get me wrong. If you're mediocre and then you lose Jones and Mayo, I get it. But if you're the #1 defense in terms of yards allowed in the pass, I'm looking at you and I'm saying, I can't overcome this with those brothers in the secondary. I can't find a way to apply pressure and utilize those guys?
He can, but remember, we started this conversation by saying these injuries hurt them to win the AFC. To get to the Super Bowl. So your #1 pass defense, who is your opponent out there that you fear?
Peyton Manning.
Denver Broncos.
So Knight, you don't think the loss of Ridley in the run game, you're putting more and more pressure on a Tom Brady who, by all accounts, has average at best weapons.
Well, to me, as I'm watching Gronkowski continue to get better, as I'm watching New England occasionally use a 2 tight end formation, I'm wondering, I'm saying that falls right in the alley of Tom Brady. Now, obviously, I can't rely on Danny Amendola. The man is just, he's an injury waiting to happen. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, we don't know if he's going to last, okay?
Actually made a couple of plays.
He made a couple of plays. Well, it was, you know, he always makes a couple of plays before November and December. I mean, Thanksgiving hasn't arrived yet. I'm just waiting. All I'm saying to you, that we know he can play, but we prognosticate and make predictions based on, okay, who are you from a health standpoint? Obviously, what if Denver happened? What if Demaryius Thomas went down? You know, what if Demaryius and Wes Welker went down? I mean, would Peyton Manning be the same? We don't know. So,
but they haven't gone down.
I know they haven't gone down. So I'm just looking at it, and I'm just of the mindset that having Revis back there, having your secondary intact, I feel Bill Belichick can figure out a way to work around this. That's just my thing. But I do get your point because, again, if I got to bring the house, then that leaves them more susceptible.
Okay, so on the record, through Murder's Row, can they go 3-2 against that stretch?
I do believe that.
Okay, then I'm good.
Not only that,
I believe that too.
Not only that, Skip, even though they beat Denver last year, I think they can beat Denver again despite it because they'll be in Foxborough.
Our Ed Warder is reporting that defensive lineman Alan Branch may be signed by the Patriots. Let's move on to another topic.
By the way, he's trying to jinx my Patriots.
I know. The Jets are now 1-6 after falling to the Patriots.